If you're not aware, I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And over the past couple years, we've been going through a bit of a transition, if you will, when it comes to our film industry. Now, I was previously in the film industry as a production assistant between the years around 2015 to 2018. And during that time, we were having a bit of a surge in Pittsburgh, similar to honestly what Atlanta experienced a few years ago. We had a really great tax credit that made coming to Pittsburgh and shooting here pretty enticing for bigger productions. Now, since then, and since COVID had a lot to do with this as well, we have been coming down from that peak production work high. We have just a small fraction of the amount of productions coming to shoot in Pittsburgh as we did a handful of years ago. But we still have the same amount of skilled workers waiting for work here. Not only that, but we have a very prominent film school here. And so a lot of students have been, for the past 5 years, coming out of school trying to get into the industry and having a lot of trouble doing so, because there's just nowhere for them to go. Why am I telling you this? Because I want to talk about what is going on in LA, in New York, in the United States as a whole in terms of the film industry, because it's important that we know what is going on in our industry so we can learn what's in demand, what's not in demand, how can we pivot our careers to make it so we're still doing work that we love to do, but we're actually getting paid for it. So, what is going on in LA? So there's been a lot of talk about the industry across multiple Facebook pages that I am in, from the state of the industry to finding jobs to general advice. One of those asks for advice was coming from a user who was interested in moving to LA and wanted some advice on that. Now, whether you are planning to move for your career or not, this thread gives us some insights on how the industry is doing and what we can do to stay afloat during this strange time. This user recommends not moving to LA or New York at this time right now for an industry job. They're saying it's dead right now. You don't want to get stuck in a lease. This user says it's also not a great time to come here right now. The original poster said that they had some experience editing shorts and that might give them an edge getting into the industry. This user says that when they first moved to LA, they had already edited an entire season of a TV series elsewhere, and that didn't matter to anyone. So in their opinion, 6 shorts is going to matter even less. And the user should expect to climb and claw their way from the bottom. There'll be a small fish in a big pond, and right now that pond is losing water. I think that in general, we can get a sense that from these comments, the vibe is not vibing in LA right now. I mean, obviously there is a lot going on. We are literally still recovering from COVID. We just had the wildfires there, on top of the industry already having so many issues that we will get into later in this video. But as someone who went to film school and watched a lot of my colleagues move to LA with this hope and a dream of making it big in LA, some of them did, some of them didn't. I know that that alone must be a hard fate to accept for students that are in film school right now or wanted to get into it or just graduated from it, and you're having this realization that actually it's going to be a lot harder than you maybe thought to get ahead in this industry or even get your foot in the door at all. Okay, now in a similar vein, I also want to talk about the fact that we all know that there has been a rise in content that is lacking in quality, but definitely is chock full of quantity. It's no surprise that this is linked to the devaluing of the industry and the people that work in it, with a focus on how much we can produce with as little people as possible while spending as little as possible. This user talks about they have a lot of experience working in the film industry and they can really foresee a lot of big changes happening, which of course, with streaming services absolutely taking over the content that we watch, of course there's going to be a reduction in quality, because with any monopoly that takes over, you're going to have a reduction in quality. Now, this user does say they think the next generation should look at generating shorts for corporate and special interests, but that industry may be gone soon with AI. I don't think that it will be gone soon with AI. I do think that AI right now is still a tool, but I don't necessarily disagree. We know all companies need marketing, and that includes generating shorts, generating content awareness, generating brand awareness. So that's not a bad career to to get in instead. And this user does have an interesting insight, and I feel for them, stating that they are an editor. They've never been in the actual film industry. They'd like to go there, mainly because the freelance gigs they do get are nothing like the kind of content that he would like to edit for actual, probably narrative content that you see in movies and TV shows. Everything else is strictly for online purposes, and that means that it's really quick cuts, getting to the point as quickly as possible. We're not making this for the art of filmmaking. We're making this to get viewers and get engagement, and more than likely make money. If we haven't met yet, I'm Colleen, and in this channel, I talk about video editing and freelance lifestyle, and I help you to get a video editing job. So if you're interested in that, I would so appreciate it if you can hit the like button below and subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you so much for doing that. So really briefly, it's not all doom and gloom. Let's talk about what you can be doing in 2025 to possibly get ahead in your video editing journey. What is trending right now for 2025? We obviously know that AI integration is trending and has been trending for a long time. We know that AI is helping editors to analyze video footage, to auto transcribe and produce captions, to lengthen music tracks, and to auto cut sequences. Now, again, all of this can make your job as an editor easier, but could it also one day maybe take over your job entirely? We'll see. Virtual reality. Now, as VR sets do become more affordable and VR technology becomes more accessible, editors definitely are exploring new ways to create immersive and interactive experiences. So the demand for VR editing is actually growing because creators want to push the boundaries of storytelling and provide audiences with more engaging 360-degree content, mobile editing, and cross-platform workflows. There is a huge growing need for flexibility here, and since you can basically edit a whole feature on your phone nowadays, editors are absolutely increasingly turning to mobile video editing apps like CapCut, for example. Collaborative editing. The ability to work in real time with others on the same project absolutely accelerates decision-making and efficiency, but it can also help with creativity. This trend is really gaining momentum because it allows multiple editors or clients to provide immediate feedback, making the editing process more dynamic and a heck of a lot faster. Cloud-based editing. This trend is really fueled by the growing demand for remote collaboration, as cloud platforms allow for easy access, secure storage, and seamless sharing of projects across different locations, all without relying on heavy local processing power. You do not have to learn all of these things. However, if any of them interest you, I would highly recommend looking into them, looking how you can maybe work them into your own processes or the things that you work on right now, or just look into learning about each one of them. And then you might be able to have something to get yourself ahead of the competition in the coming years. Now, on another note, separate from trends, here are a few other ways that you can get ahead of your own competition. Network. I have talked about this point a lot, but let's circle back to that Blue Collar Post Collective thread because there is a user that has a very insightful tidbit of knowledge. It's not about who you know. It's not about what you know. It's who knows you know what you know. Now let's all tattoo that on our foreheads. Meet lots of people and work with lots of people, and hopefully some of them will be in a position to recommend you to someone else down the road. And I can't really say it better myself. Stay where it's financially stable for you. Check your location. I would highly recommend you stay where it is financially stable for you. Maybe that is in your hometown. Maybe that means moving out of a bigger, more expensive city into somewhere a little more affordable to live. I don't think that now is the time to risk all of your money on a hope and a whim that you will get a job in the industry and will pay all your bills. It's not really the time to be banking on that. Instead, it is the time to stay where you are or stay where it's affordable and focus on what you can. Maybe that means getting a job that's remote. Maybe that means becoming the best in the industry in your city. And maybe that means you'll be a big fish in a small pond, but I'd rather be a big fish in a small pond right now than a teeny tiny fish in a huge leaking pond that is maybe drying up completely. Social media and content creation. Essentially, you should take advantage of them. Both of those things can be done from your desk, from your room, from your own city, and they can be done for very, very cheap. So if that means making more content on your own so you can build up your demo reel or just have content to be posting consistently just to get your name out there for marketing purposes, then that's what it means. If that means starting your own YouTube channel so that you can have something to release your career creative energies into, and also potentially for you to have something to show a future client one day if they are looking for maybe something similar to that. You can show them, hey, I made a channel, here's how it's doing, and here's what I do on it, and this is basically how I edit. Considering that I don't think that social media is going away or content creation, even if you are like the one user we talked about and you can't stand the way that editing is for social media and for online consumption, that's kind of part of the game we have to play in this strange industry transition. If that means you have to make some content in a different editing style than you would normally be used to, sometimes that's just what it means. Consider remote work. We kind of touched on this before, but let's really center in on it. As a fellow editor, I will say that I once did dream of living in the city and working in a studio and going into work every day and getting to edit really cool, inspiring projects. And there is still a possibility of that. But maybe the editing in-person dream is something that we might need to just alter a little bit or just put it on hold. Now, a lot of my channel is focused on how to get a job as a remote freelance video editor. Yes, you are competing with the whole world to get said job, but if you can find your niche and set yourself apart, you might have better luck with finding an editing job while still living in a hopefully more affordable area than LA or New York. Now, I would love to leave you with some positive words of wisdom that you can hold on to and hope for this industry. But in my research, I did find another thread that I feel like says this all a little bit better than me. So the thread, a little bit dramatically, states, "The end of Hollywood Post, a eulogy from an editor on the way out." Touching. I'm cutting a show for one of the major streamers right now, one of the lucky ones, but I can feel it. My number is up. I'm making the rounds, calling old executive producers, post supervisors with decades of experience, friends running finishing houses, even a buddy at Netflix corporate, another friend at a major agency that brokers deals for shows. It's all the same. Netflix is the only real buyer left. Every other streamer lost the war, and now they're clinging to life, trying not to go belly up. Netflix did to Hollywood what Walmart did to small town America, flooded the market with money, wiped out the competition, and now stands alone, dictating the terms. Production companies are chasing tax incentives overseas, London, Canada, Australia, a few states here in the US, but even there, the work isn't plentiful. This is what happened to Detroit and the auto industry. It's what happened to cool towns in Appalachia, and now it's happened to us. I don't take any joy in writing this. I love this industry. I built my life around it. I have friends, damn good ones, who are looking for a way forward, but hope, when stretched too thin, turns into delusion. We have to face reality. The most surreal part of all these calls, nobody watches TV anymore. Even the people who make it. We're all watching YouTube. Oh, the irony. Think about that. Public access TV, the thing we used to laugh at, just took down the crown jewels of Los Angeles, Hollywood. Now, as saddening as that post might seem, there were some comments in that mix that made me feel a little positive about where my job is right now and maybe where you should pivot your editing into. This doesn't match my experience. Hollywood isn't dead, it just went remote. I said this years ago when everyone was excited on how much remote editing was starting up. I told everyone how much this would kill the industry in LA and New York. All our jobs haven't gone away, they've just been dispersed all across the country or the world. And this is what our niche industry looks like when the same number of jobs is spread across the entirety of the workforce instead of just one city. You're now competing with everyone for work. Hollywood, as in the business, will be fine. Hollywood, as in the city of LA, will never be the same, unfortunately. And this user here had one of my favorite insights that really has stuck with me since doing this research, and they added some insight for some mental reframe. The ability to make videos isn't just some niche technical skill anymore. It's huge and general. It's literacy. Video is how people communicate most potently in 2025. As a skilled editor, you have a terribly unfair advantage. You are fluent in the language of media. You are fluent in the language of media. And that comment gave me chills, and I hope it did for you too. Or maybe you disagree entirely. Either way, I would love to hear your thoughts on this video, on what's going on in our industry. I'd love to hear them all in the comments below, and we can continue the conversation. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, if you are interested in topics like video editing and freelance lifestyle. Thank you to Logan, my editor. Again, I am Colleen, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Have the best one.